Welcome to Heart Collaborations, where we explore the heart of wellness, mental and emotional well-being, relationships, personal passions, and thriving parenthood. Hi, I'm Annette.
And I'm Anita. Collectively, we have over 50 years in the educational and mental health arenas. Whether you're looking for information, personal stories, or just a place to feel seen and heard, you're in the right place. Join us as we dive into conversations that inspire, empower, help you grow, and add a little laughter to your life.
Hey, we want to welcome you to Heart Collaborations today. And I'm really excited because I get to introduce you to, first and foremost, a really good friend of mine. But also, she is the CEO, the creator of the Culture Ties, Cindy Bowden. Cindy, thanks for being with us today.
Thank you. Thank you both for having me.
Of course. So why don't you just, go ahead and tell us a little bit about you. And I know today we're talking about really how food, culture, travel, how it can induce awe and build connection in relationships. And in a world that is struggling so much with loneliness and isolation, that is so important. But let's start with you kind of giving us your background.
Let's see. I think in regards to the culture part, we came from England to Texas, Dallas, Texas. It was about 2001. And shortly after, became the executive director of the British American Business Council and had wonderful experiences with royalty, dignitaries.
Okay, give us some examples, okay? Because, what would be an example of a royalty or dignity that crossed your path?
So we had a gala in 2005 to raise awareness of Kew Gardens in England. And so we had the privilege and honor of hosting the Duke and Duchess of Gloucestershire, who was the cousin to Queen Elizabeth.
Nice.
And it was a wonderful gala at the Adolphus Hotel. And had wonderful connections with historic royal palaces with that. And the dignitaries, we met with the consul of Great Britain. And
How fun is that?
It was.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun.
It was fun.
I know I kind of jumped in there and cut you off.
Okay.
So go ahead and revisit.
Well,
Yeah.
First, we want to thank the Meeting Place for letting us host the podcast here. I want to thank you, Cindy, for being here.
Thank you.
And thank you, Rob Bliss, for letting us do our thing here. And don't forget, you can always come and network here.
Yeah, the Meeting Place in Farmers Branch. And it's where you can come and connect, collaborate, and learn. So great workspace.
Yeah. So Cindy, how did you first fall in love with exploring the world and culture, and food? What got you started?
Very simple. It started from my mother trying to Americanize international recipes, having curry sausage, that's not, so it's very Americanized. Or sauerkraut and sausage, Polish sausage sandwiches. And so the flavors kind of, this kind of tastes good, and just kind of expanded upon that. And then the travel part, it was the movies, I don't know, Under the Tuscan Sun, or PBS would do Are You Being Served, the British comedies.
Right.
Love British comedies.
Yeah.
And so it just kind of got that little desire to go and see what is this world about that we have. And so it started from there.
So, and I'm not sure, but so was your mom, was she born here in America?
El Paso.
Okay.
El Paso, Texas.
Awesome.
And so was I. With that, we moved around 17 different times by the time I was 16.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a lot. But it made me more adaptable to situations, curious about, So we moved to Maryland and, Maryland crabs. Fabulous. San Francisco. It was just, you experience culture and people that you wouldn't necessarily just staying in your bubble.
For sure. Yeah. So one of the things that we are making a connection with today is the word awe. And this is something that really researchers didn't start researching until about 2000 and 2003, something of that sort. But awe is an emotion that's complex and unique. I think anyone who's experienced awe, although it can be positive or negative, most of us experience awe in a positive kind of way. I love that emotion and I want more and more of it. And there's a connection between travel, culture, food, and awe. And so I was thinking, when we experience awe, it's transcendent. It's a feeling of being a part of something bigger than ourselves. And it's intoxicating, but yet it's at your most centered space in terms of mindfulness when you're experiencing awe. And I can just quickly think back about sometimes that I experienced awe, and I'll share one of those. And then if you guys can think of one to share. So we were in Mexico, Hualtuco, Mexico, and we had gone out on a boat and we were touring around. And I was with my son, his girlfriend, my spouse, and we're just kind of talking. And I'm always looking on the horizon. And I see this stingray, and it is huge. And it jumps out of the water. It clears the water. And I in that moment, felt nothing but awe. I was
a magical moment.
Yeah, I was so excited. I was like, "Oh my God!" And I, told them what I saw. And when you have a moment of awe, it's not a fleeting moment. It hovers,
sticks
right?
with you too.
Yeah, it sticks with you. And I can still, even though that was say 3 years ago, I can still visually see and even feel some of those sensations and emotions, because oftentimes when we experience awe, there are sensations that go along with that. So there's thoughts, there's sensations.
It's amazing what it just conjures up and for years afterwards too.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. And I'm just wondering, can you guys think of an experience that invoked awe for you? If you can, share it.
I'll let you go
if you want to.
Go ahead, Cindy.
It was, and it still is magical. That awe is a magical moment. And it was about 5 of us traveling, and we were in Strasbourg, France. And it's right on the border of France and Germany. And we're trudging along with our, suitcases, and we're coming, and then we're going to have to turn right down the street. So as the 5 of us turn the street, right in front of us was this magical Gothic cathedral. And it just felt like it just continued to rise in the heavens. It was, all of us stopped dead in our tracks and just stood there for a second and took this in. Not one of us spoke. We were just kind of a jaw-dropping moment. It really was. But that was during the day. And then at nighttime, they had this light show on the side of the cathedral. That was another jaw-dropping moment. I believe it was a light show of history of time. And it had music to go with it. And so you heard like orca sounds, whale sounds. And you got to see it was, again, another awe moment. Yes.
You use the term jaw-dropping. And it's kind of interesting because the research that they've done on the facial expressions when people experience awe, is that jaw does drop and that mouth opens.
I believe it.
The eyes get big.
Yes.
And there's some common things that people will say, wow,
Yeah.
whoa. And those, research shows that those are complementary statements and reactions to when we experience awe.
Wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah. I was thinking of the mini Oz, because it's hard to just get one, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But I was thinking about, the caverns in New Mexico where they have a Carlsbad.
Yes.
Just the work that is
nature.
That is not made by us. That is not made by us, right?
Right.
It's breathtaking. When you look at and then really feel that
Mhm.
how does this exist? You know,
Right.
it's like
Natural
That
beauty.
wonder.
Yeah.
That, yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
yeah,
I agree.
yeah.
You know,
It's-
and I think for most of us, if you have an appreciation for nature, and honestly, if you just get out and are mindful and experience it, it's hard not to have an appreciation for it.
Mhm.
But is gazing at the stars, if you can get out away from the lights and gaze at the stars, it's a beautiful moment. We know that research tells us that experiencing awe actually increases our connection with others and our
Mhm.
generosity.
Mhm. Because we feel good. I mean, we're feeling good, right?
Yeah,
When this happens,
yeah.
we're feeling generous. Like,
You feel, I think, like awe makes me feel special. Like I feel this
mhm.
gratefulness, this thankfulness, this specialness.
So you
And yet,
embrace others
Gratitude.
with it?
Yeah.
yeah. Mhm.
Well, it's kind of like, you want to donate to that cause. If they were going to do something for stingrays, you'd for sure write them a check or,
Mhm.
donate to that cause because it's like,
You're appreciating it.
yeah. And I mean,
Definitely.
it becomes part of you.
Mhm. Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, all of us. Those experiences we will carry throughout, our
Mhm.
lifetime.
Anita, what you just said, it becomes part of you.
Mm-hmm.
Big statement right there.
Mm-hmm.
Because it lives with you as your memory,
Mhm.
as you share a story.
Right.
Yeah.
Now it becomes other people's stories because now they may want to go see that stingray.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Definitely, for sure. Yeah. So, a little bit of research from a Yale led study. Individuals practicing simple awe inducing activities saw a 17% drop in depression,
Mm.
a 12% reduction in stress, and a 16% boost in well being just after 1 month.
Mhm.
So, I think that in and of itself causes our audience to really perk up and listen and see what we can draw from this episode.
This makes me realize I'm like, now I know a lot of the residential treatment centers that treat, people for mental health
Mm-hmm.
are in nature. They're either
Mhm.
by the oceans or
Right.
a wilderness. Like that speaks volumes of
Mhm.
we know what's happening.
Right.
It's just implementing, right?
And I want to link back just for a second.
Mhm.
If you missed our first 4 episodes, I want to encourage you to look at those. And those episodes are 4 different studies on The Anxious Generation, the book by Jonathan Haidt. And in that, one of his tips or encouragements is how awe impacts anxiety, right? And so, yeah, we're linking back to different things that we've referenced before. So, let's talk just for a second about some of the physiological, the mental that we experience from awe, the benefits, really.
Yeah.
So, like we said, a sense of well-being, reduction in stress, reduction in anxiety, reduction in depression, reduction in PTSD, that pro-social relatability, so social integration. Those are some of the things, a sense of meaning and purpose. Going back to Vivek Murthy and the episode we did from his Final Prescription for
Yeah.
America, addressing loneliness and isolation and meaning. And he talks about success versus fulfillment.
And the purpose of serving others.
Right.
Volunteering.
So just some of the many benefits of awe. And, I'm wondering, Cindy, just you mentioned one, but just anything else come to mind in terms of travels, food, culture, and connecting that with awe?
It could even be the smallest of things too.
Yeah.
It's
It could even be the people that you meet.
that's to the heart. It fills the heart with awe.
Mm-hmm.
The people, as long as you're not afraid of stepping out a little bit, be open, be social, ask questions. When you do that, the kind of the connection that you make with the person, you create an awe moment where I've had several people that we've met in Europe that are now friends on Facebook because of those awe moments that we've exchanged. It could be we met a couple in Rome and they're from Norway. Well, we're friends with them on Facebook now, you know, or it could be just the stories that they share with us, you know, it just, I think the small moments of meeting people can be big moments, actually.
Definitely. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, I do a lot of food YouTube watching. You know, Andrew, he likes to eat at different places. He goes all over the place. I love watching him because he goes into the little bitty villages all over and experiences like their food, you know, along with their food is their culture, and it just all ties in together.
Along with that is that the food kind of creates an experience. And I think you kind of tie the two together, the food with the experience, and it becomes something, again, awe-inspiring, magical. It's a story that can last a lifetime. You know, it's like we did a funny moment. We were in Greece in an island called Naxos. And we're at this restaurant, beautiful restaurant on the water. And Greek music starts and everything. And they start dancing. Fabulous. We're front row and everything. So he starts bringing out plates to smash, you know, oppa, right? And I'm sitting there recording. Well, he gives me a plate and everyone's smashing and it's fun and exciting. And then I throw mine down, flop. It doesn't break. And I'm like mortified, but it was so funny. We just got the biggest giggle from it. But then he graciously picks it up and gives it to me again to try to break, you know. So it's that food. There's this experience happening. It was, again, it's an awe moment.
And it's so energizing, right?
Yes.
Even, you know, locally, instead of going to your routine, you know, restaurant that you always seem to end up at, trying something new that's a little different. And all of a sudden,
100%.
you and your spouse, your conversation went from, you know, 15 words a minute to 65, right? I can think about a time I was presenting at a conference in, Louisiana.
New Orleans?
Yes. And New Orleans, definitely, Nolans. And anyway, there was a jazz festival, right? And I go to this jazz festival, and if you know me, I'm kind of reserved in social situations until you get to know me pretty good, and then I loosen up. But you would never see me here, you know, out on the street just dancing. And this did not involve, you know, alcohol induced dancing or anything like that. But everybody was having and everybody was dancing, right? And I got into it. I loved it. I wanted to bring it home with me. And I would love to see our area get a little bit of that New Orleans flair. But yeah, such a fun experience that I will not forget, you know?
100%.
Yeah. So, food that, you know, feeds the soul, right? Any come to mind in terms of, you know, cultural experiences, food experiences that stand out for you in your travels?
Let's see. We've got there's a lot.
Yeah,
you know.
right.
It's even this, again, back to the simplest. It doesn't need to be something so big and extravagant, but we have a couple that we know in England, and we just recently went to York, England, and they invited us to their village, Selby, and they made us a wonderful Sunday roast lunch, and with the Yorkshire puddings, and just kind of I have a gluten intolerance, and they were even so considerate to give me a Yorkshire
nice
pudding that was gluten free, and you learn little. You're always learning when you travel, always. And so apparently, your Yorkshire pudding is usually done with the gravy and the Yorkshire pudding, which is the size of a bowl,
Uh-huh.
before you eat your meal. Instead of, we used to have the small Yorkshire puddings
Okay.
with the meal,
Uh-huh.
but no, if traditional style, it's before the meal. So it was our little appetizer. But the thoughtfulness, the warmth, what we learned sitting around a table, just sharing that little something that's different about the culture there. Small, but still fabulous.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know on one particular travel experience, this particular location, you could dine at a high-end restaurant or, something much more local. And we found out in one of the publications that the locals were writing about this great family that did chicken, rice, and beans um, on a grill behind their house. And we definitely showed up. And oh my gosh, it was like the best meal of the whole trip. And I'm forever trying to find this lemon garlicky chicken that's roasted on a grill like I had there. So, yeah,
Probably just so juicy and yummy and flavorful.
definitely.
Yep.
Definitely.
Yep.
So a survey of 2,000 Americans revealed that people felt on average 67% better mentally after taking a trip.
100%.
Yeah.
And I believe that the trip isn't just the day that you're taking the trip. It's also so much of the planning beforehand,
Okay.
kind of like Christmas.
Uh-huh.
It's not just about the day. It is the planning beforehand that creates the whole season. So here you have with the trip, you're planning, you're getting excited, you're sharing with family members or friends that you might be traveling with. Then the trip happens, you're experiencing these awe moments. And then afterwards, you've got the memories on film that you get to, maybe put a little Google slide together. And, it's a whole journey that creates that.
So as you're saying that, I'm thinking like connection, like connecting. Even the planning is connection, right?
100%.
I mean,
and I will say that on one trip, I'm a big believer with connection with genealogy. Genealogy can create those connections. And I was doing research for, it was my fifth great grandfather. He served as a lifeguard to George Washington. And he came from this small village in France called Wasselonne, just right outside of Strasbourg. So before our trip, I'm calling Wasselonne, a French-speaking, little village, hoping, I can speak to someone. And sure enough, this gentleman picks up the phone and says, I'm basically wondering if I can find any historical records within the town before we travel there. And Jean-Claude is his name, and said, I can help you with that when you come here. And so we got there, and he gave us this wonderful tour of the whole little village, right? But not only that, he had the keys to the castle too. This little castle, in this village that he allowed us to come into and showed us all by ourselves, and that connection just has stayed with us all these years. We went back like 2 years later and got to see them and have lunch with them again. He's become a dear friend. So those connections, you can do that through genealogy just by reaching out, call, research who you can contact in that family. We did that with another family in England, and it's a distant cousin. And now we have these incredible photo albums of historic photos we would never have seen before if we didn't have that connection.
Oh,
Yeah, it's very special.
Yeah, that is. I'm curious, and you may have a answer just off the top of your head, and you may not. But I'm wondering about like a cultural tradition that made you feel, welcome from the start, just instantly welcome.
Oh, I kind of go back to that Yorkshire meal.
Oh, yeah,
completely.
Right. Yeah.
To make me feel welcome, to consider my intolerance.
Oh, yeah.
Right,
and for sure, definitely.
It was a sweet moment.
So, speaking of journeys, one you took across the pond is straight into someone's heart. And I forgot to tell you at the beginning, there was a little spicy love story going on here today.
Yeah, I want to hear this.
Yeah, so tell us about, I know that trip to England is where you met your husband, Russ.
Right.
Tell us a little bit about that adventure that changed your life.
Before that even started, I want to know, like, I heard you went by yourself. So I'm like,
I did.
what prompted you to go by yourself to another country? Just you by yourself, like.
This was 30 years ago, mind you. Probably, I was about 28 and I was getting a divorce on Cape Cod. I was living on Cape Cod and I just always wanted to either go to Greece or England. And so I decided, I saved my money, sold my car, quit my job, had my little savings, went over to England by myself because I felt now was the time. This was the moment I needed to cease and take a hold of. And I decided to go to England, of course, and got off the plane. My dear friend Pippa, picked me up from the airport and took me to a cricket rugby club barbecue. And I saw my husband. I saw him. We didn't speak. I was not in that mindset, you know. And 6 weeks later, he asked me to marry him. And 3 months later, we were married. And next year, we'll celebrate our 30th anniversary.
Wow. But wait a minute. we skipped the whole part of, like, who spoke to whom first.
Actually, it's very cute.
I'm like,
so in this cricket club, they've got a little arcade, a trivia game, and there's a little bar there and seating. And I just, not knowing a lot of people, I just went up to the trivia game and just tried to see what is, kind of occupy my time. And Russ comes up and he says, "Oh, I hear you're an American." And I just like, nice line, buddy. But yeah, and we started talking from there. And believe it or not, he was coming to Dallas 3 months later in September. And so I'm giving him this list of places to go and meet some girls when he's here. I don't remember if the West End at that time and stuff. And so I'm telling him all these places to go. And it just kind of slowly progressed from there. Yes. It's my favorite topic. He is. Yes.
And I have the pleasure of knowing Russ, I'm sorry. And he's an incredible guy.
He is.
So both a beautiful, beautiful couple. And so, when we're talking about, and, we've talked about some travel to England, some travel to Greece. By the way, I know you recently went to Greece. Was that your first trip to Greece or had you been there before?
It was my first trip, and I got to share it with Russ,
Yeah.
So between Greece and England, I went to England, and now I got to share Greece with him. But we also did it with my sister, too. And it's the first time my sister and I had ever been on vacation together.
Wow. Okay.
All these years. And it was, again, magical. It was truly a wonderful experience.
How do you think that, let's, in terms of, not everyone can just, jump on a plane, right? Lots of different reasons. But I'm wondering, how can we bring that sense of adventure to our local setting and even experience that awe, locally on a kind of a daily basis? What are some ideas you have for us where we can really experience food culture?
There's so much here, especially in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. We're very, very fortunate. We've got wonderful international festivals. I mean, you can go anywhere from the Irish Festival to a Dallas International Film Festival. It's, and I think that we have coming up in probably September, the Oktoberfest in Addison, or a Diwali in probably November we've got coming up. Local restaurants. Be experimental, and if you don't like something, you don't have to eat it, but just try. Just just try something different. We can also go anywhere from eating to the festivals to even maybe wine tasting locally too.
Mhm.
So yeah.
You know, any restaurants come to mind that are kind of a unique experience in the Dallas-Fort Worth area?
Well, I was thinking about BK Barbecue right here in the corner. I really
right.
like that place. If you haven't been, it's a good place.
Yeah.
And
their food is what's
BK Barbecue.
BK
is it
Pakistani.
okay.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
I've been there once with Anita, and yeah, I really liked it.
Yeah,
It was
it's really
great.
good.
Yeah, for sure.
You've got Mediterranean, of course, Chinese, Thai, beautiful flavors, beautiful flavors.
You know, I was thinking, Hero back, you guys went to, I think it was at one of the Buddhist temples. I think possibly you guys went to a festival. Doesn't it happen once a month or something
It
like
happens
that?
every Sunday. You can go out and the money that they're raising goes out to for the youth programs.
Aww.
And it's the Dallas Buddhist Temple in Dallas. They have it every Sunday.
But tell us a little bit about that market because people might not know.
Okay. So it's kind of like, being in the streets. You just go from vendor to vendor, get whatever you want. It's really nice. Right now it's really hot, but it's normally every Sunday.
Yeah.
Wonderful. And they have a cause behind it too.
Yes.
Love it.
And you can visit the temple too. And the temple, it's right behind the temple.
Do you have a favorite food that you're like, I can't wait to go to this market because I'm going to make sure I get there?
Yeah, they have this, oh gosh, I don't know what it's called, but it's like a little purple potato with like some sticky rice in a little log. That's the best. That's like my favorite.
Okay.
I don't know what it's called.
So as we, continue to think about, how can culture kind of and food and connection make a difference in isolation and loneliness? Can you think of, any stories that maybe you've experienced with strangers? And I know you shared a little bit already about some of those, connections and meetings. We know that awe kind of takes the focus off of self and puts it on others. I was thinking that my spouse, whenever we travel, my son and I kind of have a little thing that we do together. She does not meet a stranger, and unlike me. And anyway, my son and I will be like, she don't like that chit chat. And whenever my spouse starts chit chatting, because I'm more like over there in the corner. But yeah, some of that experience about just kind of getting out and being willing to connect with people we don't know.
Well, and staying curious.
Yeah.
Yes.
Being curious about a person or, what their experiences have been.
We had a tour guide who I love to death, Naya, in Santorini. And she's showing us around the island. Just a beautiful soul she is. And again, we're friends to this day. And but I was curious, did she live on Santorini year round or is this seasonal? She would go to Athens and then she'd come into Santorini, for the season. But her knowledge, you just have, she just created this warmth. So it's those, we could have been around Santorini by ourselves, but here she just totally welcomed us into the culture and stuff. So no isolation. If you can reach out to someone, do it. Like you were saying, yes.
And I'm just curious. So in most situations, do you recommend connecting with a tour guide or what are your thoughts on that?
A mix, to be honest. I think sometimes the best experiences are exploring a city on your own, on foot. Just walking along and you might look down an alley and not realize there's a little museum down there, But then you get these tour guides who, we had one in Italy, our driver, and we were just going to go out into Tuscany, but knowing that we were Americans, he took us to the military. Oh goodness me!
Facility?
Gravesite.
Oh, okay.
Memorial
Cemetery.
Soldiers.
Cemetery.
Okay.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Yes.
Oh, awesome.
And we weren't expecting that, but this tour guide threw in something so special for us. And so I think you can have incredible moments with tour guides, and they know so much more. And I'll tell you, we didn't have a tour guide. We were in Venice, and we went to the Doge's Palace, and incredible place, just an incredible place. And we're walking around, but I find myself kind of hovering around the tour guide that has the small group because their knowledge is so much more than what we could pick up just by looking at things.
Right.
They have the backstories that create, a feel about the whole place as well. So it's a mix. I think you should explore on your own, but I also believe that tour guides can add so much enrichment to your travel plans.
Yeah.
Just, kind of thinking as far as closing and takeaways, I'm wondering if you can give a challenge to our listeners this week of something that they can do in their lives to, promote awe, promote connection, sense of food and travel.
Oh, I think try cooking a cultural meal at home. There's plenty of recipes on my website as well. But there's plenty of recipes out there just to try something simple. If you're about to travel someplace, incorporate one of those meals into maybe an international dinner night and create a whole scene around it. When we went to Italy, we created a dining room table that felt Italian. We had Italian trivia, Italian music playing in the background, and cooked an Italian meal. Also, look up local festivals that might be going on around you in the next coming months.
It's a great one.
Food, music, festivals, it's all here. It really is.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I want to, first of all, before we totally head out, I know you've got a lot of different things going on, and I'm wondering if you could share, if you're comfortable sharing about some of those things.
Oh, thank you. We're very excited. Culture Ties is going very well. And from that trip to Greece that we took with my sister, we picked up this little pendant at a jewelry shop, and it's a Phaistos disc. And so my sister and I created a film production company called Phaistos Productions. And there's a story behind the story kind of thing. And so we have a script written for a story about my great-grandfather. Very excited about that one. And then we are about quarter way through of the script about my husband and I called Found in London. And we spoke to a director yesterday. So things are, progressing really, really well. Very excited,
We'll be in line.
Oh,
We'll be in line for
tickets.
you're very
Definitely.
sweet.
We'll
very
be in line for
sweet.
tickets.
You're very
We didn't get all the nitty gritty, but we're going to get it in that movie. I have a feeling.
Yeah. And I want to encourage you to check out the blog, The Culture Ties. It's just beautifully done. I purchased a tea guide from there because every time I go to their house, they will fix us tea. And oh my gosh, their tea compared to my tea, I don't know what it is that they put in their tea, but it is just so delicious and smooth and calming and yeah. So I went on and purchased a tea guide, and I absolutely love it. It has some of the history about tea, about different types of teas, and then how to properly prepare the tea. And there are other kinds of things that people can take advantage of as well. Would you want to share a little bit of, what they will find on the Culture Ties?
We've got anywhere from cultural stories, like where does cheddar cheese come from? It's actually Cheddar Gorge in England. It's little fascinating stories that way in culture. Then we have recipes. I would love for your viewers to, we've got a segment called Taste of Tradition. where these are recipes from families in their traditional, cooking recipes and stuff. And we've had some wonderful recipes submitted and sharing. Papa Rihanna, there's an enchilada on there that's so good.
I was going to say, eating like South Texas Tex-Mex is so different than the Dallas area over here. I'm like, when I go over there, I eat all the time, maybe gain 10 pounds and then come back. I'm like, where is our food? Right?
The authentic recipes
We get spoiled.
Are incredible. So that Taste of Tradition, I would love for anyone to submit that. We also have ideas for cultural purchases from it's an Amazon shop, but it could be whiskey tasting. We have the setup that you can do for, for whiskey. So we've got recipes, Taste of Tradition, cultural recipes. I even have a travel section for people who might need tips, hotels, tours. It's all on there.
Nice.
Thank you.
Travel insurance is on there as well. So all
Sure
kinds
is.
of just opportunities. One of the things that we love and pride ourselves on is kind of digging through the to find the gems, right?
Yeah.
Trying to do the hard work for you so that it can save you some time and money. And so I think the Culture Ties does that same thing. You can head over there and look at that, and it will help identify the gems for you and save you some of that hard work. So I want you to remember that you don't need a suitcase to travel. Sometimes all it takes is a plate, a friend, and an open mind.
Love it.
Own your wellness.
Elevate your life. The content presented in this episode or any others should not be considered therapy and is not prescriptive. If you have questions or concerns about mental health, contact your primary care physician or local mental health provider. The opinions expressed are solely ours and are not representative of our employers or coworkers.